Are you ready? Are you excited? And remember, it doesn't matter where you go or where you'll be. Just don't forget to bring your tea. And that's total empowerment and anointing. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Tea Talk with Tanya. It is my plum pleasing pleasure to have our guest on today that's going to just share some wonderful and empowering information with us on their journey to success. As you all know, here at Tea Talk with Tanya, we believe in total empowerment and anointing, standing on the principles of wealth, health, vision, and affirmations through God's word. So today, I'm excited to bring to you my good friend, my sister from another mister, a wonderful, phenomenal woman who has a story like none other. Some of you out there may be familiar with her or may have seen her work around the world, but I am so pleased to have with us on today none other than Miss Tymika Chambliss. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show on today. We truly appreciate having you on today, and we look forward to what you're going to impart into us on today, because we know that God has blessed your life in a mighty way, and you've been through a lot of storms, but now you are here sharing the rainbow and sharing the world of gladness and happiness and health with us. So if you don't mind, for maybe those out there that are not familiar with who you are, what you do, if you just don't mind just sharing with our audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. First of all, I love your mission statement for Tea Talk with Tanya. I love it. So let me just say that. And also, thank you for inviting me to be a part of your platform. I love what you do. I'm just so excited for where God is taking you, and it's an honor to just be sitting here with you. So with that being said, my name is Tymika Chambliss, and that's Tymika with a Y. And I'm a mother first. I have 3 beautiful kids. I'm a fiance, soon to be wife. Yes. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a content creator. That's really what the title that I use. I'm a content creator. I write plays, I write movies, short films, books, anything that can be written, I pretty much will write it. And so that's a little bit about myself. The name of my company is Vibranium Media Group. But my other company that I use for breast cancer awareness is called The Hope Factory. And I know we'll probably talk about that in a little bit. But that's just a little bit about me. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. That is so good. I know that you said that you are creative, and oftentimes on the show I ask our guests, again, just we all have a purpose in life, and many of the talents and gifts that God has given us, we've had them since we were very young. And I know that you said you are a creative. So at what point in your life did you realize that God was gifting you in the field of creativity and writing and plays and movies and so much more? When did you know that this was what was part of your mission in life?
I can recall from the age of 10. Now, prior to then, so this is this thing that I used to do. I would get a sheet of paper and I would literally like doodle for hours, like just making swirls and stuff. Didn't really know like why I was doing it, but just doodling. And I guess around about the age 10, I wrote my first poem, girl. I was mad at my friends at school. And I think something happened when my best friend started being friends with somebody else. When you're in school, you know what I'm saying? You have, you're very territorial.
Right.
And so I wrote a poem about my best friend. It was like 4 lines, and it was really cute. I thought it was cute, but that's the earliest, that I can recall just actually writing a piece. And then from there, every time, so my writing was pretty much, it was fueled by my emotions. So it wasn't, I hadn't developed, the point where I can just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write. Like my writing literally, so if I was mad at someone, my writing, I would get like this burst of writing energy, you know. And so from 10 all the way up to maybe like 16. At 16, I started writing my first book.
Okay.
And it was called Pieces of Me. And, you know, girl, look, that was way long time ago, you know. And I didn't know anything about publishing, copywriting, or anything like that. So it was just this book that I started writing, and every chapter had a poem that went, you know, with that particular piece of my life. Because I was dealing with a lot of I was emotionally damaged by the time I was 16. And so I was just trying to figure out me, you know, and writing just kind of became that outlet.
Yeah.
And so because I didn't really have anybody I could talk to, you know, I didn't really trust really sharing my truth with people. And so my best friend just became paper and pen. You know, and it just kind of went from there and turned into this book. I think I still have the book somewhere around here. It's at my mom's house or somewhere. But yeah, I never published it or anything. And it just kind of built from there. I think the creative side came in. I used to go to this church in New Orleans. So I'm from New Orleans, for people that don't know. And so I used to go to this church, Tabernacle Church, 355 Stella Avenue. I will never forget the address. And every fourth Sunday, we would have youth service, right? And so, you know, I'm 11, 12, 13. And so we would, you know, I was this really big creative person. I'm always trying to create plays and skits and all kind of stuff. And it's so funny because I was about 10, 11, 12. When I was about 30 years old, one of my friends that went to church with us there, was actually the pastor's son, Brian. He ended up moving to Memphis, and my dad's a pastor. So we were at church having youth service, and here I go trying to create a skit for the kids. Now, I'm 30 years old by this time. And so he's sitting in the back of the church, and he just stood up. He said, "You still doing the same thing you were doing when you know, we were kids, but it's just, you know, on a different level now." But it was just one of those things where you don't realize the gifts that God gave to you until somebody points it out.
Right.
You know, and it's like, man, when he said, I was like, I literally have been creating plays since I was 11 years old. And now I ain't gonna tell nobody my age. That ain't y'all business. It's my business. But at my age now, it's like I'm able to literally look back at that little girl, you know, and realize she's still doing what she loves to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most beautiful piece in walking in your purpose, because so many people, they don't find their purpose.
Right.
You know, and when you're able to literally walk in your purpose and do what it is that you love, like literally every day I'm able to sit down and create.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't get boring. I'm not tired of that. Some days I'm a little frustrated, like, I ain't feeling y'all pen and paper today.
Of course.
You know, but it's always something I can go to. I can go back to, and it's free. Like I don't have to pay anybody to be creative. I don't have to, you know, put a down payment on, you know, sitting down writing or creating stories. It's just, so yeah, a long story long, you know, I started at 10.
Okay, awesome, no problem, because, you know, I'm finding that, you know, conversations, even many of the guests that have been on the show thus far, we have talked about purpose. And I run into people all the time, and that's like where they are at this point in their life. You know, with the pandemic, you know, people are just starting to change the way they view life and where they want to go, because they know the possibilities of death or jobs ending, or just trying to figure out a better way to live. And so it all comes back to, like, what am I here to do? What am I supposed to do? And so this conversation of purpose has been coming up quite a bit, and I'm glad that you mentioned, you know, what you did even for your own journey. Yeah. 2 things that you mentioned that I want to kind of talk about for just a moment. You know, you knew, well, you probably didn't know, but the gift was there,
yes.
Right? And I would just like to even express that to our audience on today, because again, I get that question all the time, or just that comment. I'm trying to find my purpose, so I don't know what my purpose is. But just like we know God, He plants that seed in us even before we were born. An apple tree is always going to be an apple tree, no matter at what point in the season and the harvest that it actually takes to produce it. It still started as an apple seed, and the expectation is that it's going to produce apples, right?
Yep. Even when the leaves fall off and it's barren and it looks
absolutely
and shriveled up, at the end of the day, its season, it will produce what it is meant to produce.
Absolutely. Yep. So, sometimes when I'm talking to people, it's like, well, I see that you work a job, or maybe somebody prophesied to you and said, you will be really good at doing X, Y, and Z, because it may fit their agenda, or they may see that you are skilled at something, like, oh, you're a good, whatever, or you're good at doing X, Y, and Z, but that may not necessarily be your calling or what your purpose here on the planet may be. But again, whatever that is, it's been there from day one. And what I like to encourage people to do is, like, when they're trying to find that purpose in their life, it's like, go back to those early ages. What are those things that you're naturally inclined to want to do, that you love to do, and that you would do it regardless if it came with a paycheck or not? Usually I've seen and learned that is probably more centered around, what your purpose here, or what your true calling and gifting may be. Would you agree with that also?
Oh, absolutely. What and it's so funny you said that, shameless plug. So listen, I got a book that's coming out called Passion, Purpose, and Parenting. Y'all go get it when it come out, okay?
Yeah.
But I said all that to say this. In understanding your purpose, you have to understand your passions, because your passions will lead you to your purpose.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because I was in a pitch session last week, and I was pitching a couple of my projects, and the man looked at me. We were on Zoom, and he said, "If it doesn't get picked up, are you still gonna do it?" I said, "I sure am." And he said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Listen, I was going to do it before I ever talked to y'all." I said, so me talking to you guys is a bonus into my goal. I said, because the goal is going to get done, and I'm going to accomplish this goal regardless if you give me the money for it or not.
Right.
And so the thing is that your passion, whatever it is that you are passionate about, like Tanya said, when you wake up in the morning, what is that one thing that fuels you to go forward in your day? For me, it was theater. When I first got into theater, writing has always, and it's, I'm gonna tell you, child, y'all gonna have me preaching. Okay,
go ahead. Girl.
So let me tell you,
we're a Christian place. We're a safe place.
Yes. So when I literally was writing my entire life, I got married when I was 23. I don't recommend nobody getting married until they 30.
Yeah.
But I got married at 23, and I stopped writing. I lost my voice when it came down to, because writing was my voice. When I couldn't talk, I wrote. And so when I stopped writing, I literally lost my voice. And so we were married for 13 years. Have a beautiful, I don't regret it, because I have a beautiful daughter out of it. She's amazing. Me and him are in a really good place. We're co-parenting wonderfully, praise the Lord. But I lost my voice. Yeah. And towards the end of our marriage, I was like, God, I got to find an outlet. Because I was so filled with anger and bitterness, and I was like, God, I need an outlet. And one of my old friends, she called me just out of the blue, and she was like, hey, have you ever thought about getting into theater? And I was like, yeah. I was like, no, not really. And she was like, well, one of my friends is holding an audition. I was like, okay, hey, why not try it?
Sounds familiar.
I was like, why not try it? Went to the audition, got the role. And at the time, my daughter was 2 years old. So this was 11 years ago. And I was like, oh, this is nice. I was like, I think I could do this, you know? So got into another play, got into another play, got into another play. What I did not know was that God was using theater to put me back in writing.
Yeah, okay.
And
giving you back your voice.
He was giving me back my voice.
Yes.
You know, and there were times we had rehearsals, girl, I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. When me and my ex-husband broke up, I had to move back in with my mom. Me and my daughter, we living upstairs in the corner room, you know, and I'm just like, God, this is what I want to do. You know, I need you to help me. You know, I'm like on food stamps, like literally, it was just a really bad time for me, but it was such a beautiful time.
Yeah.
Because I literally found happiness again. I found my place. I found where I fit. And then it was so funny because I was prepping for a play. And I finally started working, had a really good job, and everything still got. Now I ain't working at no more, but you know, I praise God for where I am. And I was sitting at my desk, and this idea came to me for a story. And I was like, well, I ain't wrote in a long time. So I started writing it. You know, the next day I'm at work on the job, on daytime. Started writing it. I kept writing. It ended up turning into Toxic. And so Toxic is a TV series that I'm writing. And this was 2013. Was it 2000? It had to have been 2013, 2014. And I was like, oh, this is really good. But of course, I didn't have no money. Didn't know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? A year later, I started writing again. And this one was When Love Lies. And so I started writing When Love Lies in 2015. It took me 3 years to finish that movie. Wow. Well, 2.5 years. It took me 2.5 years to finish that play. And while I was writing it, God just kept giving me ideas after ideas after ideas after ideas, because what happened was I opened myself back up to my passion. And a lot of times life will cause us to close the door on our passions. Yes. Because we're working. Right. We got kids. Right. Life happens. Right. We lose stuff. We lose jobs. We can't, don't have enough money to pay the bills. And, we have so many things that's grabbing at us on a daily basis that many times we end up closing the door on our passions and we settle for whatever we can do. Right. And so for me, it literally opened it up. And I remembered, I got a voice now. I remembered, like, oh my God, I remember writing. It started just kind of coming back to me, and I went back and I opened up my folder, because I had a folder about this thick, just full of poems and songs that I wrote and all this stuff. And I went back and I was just reading through them. I was like, I started remembering. It was one of those moments. It was like the prodigal son. I came to myself. Wow. And it was like, oh, I'm special. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, God really does he liked me a lot.
He liked you a whole lot. A whole lot.
And I was like, oh, so it's like, I started running back to my purpose. Yeah. I mean, to my passion. And then my passion, the more I'm running to my passion, the more I'm able to really walk and live in my purpose, on purpose, and I don't have to guess. And it was, me and Tracy was talking the other day, and we'll talk about this later, but I'm in the process, I'm getting ready to launch a new project, and I'm scared. I am terrified. And I was praying last week, and I said, God, I just need to know if I'm in the right field, if this is what you want me to do. Like, I need clarity. Yes. I need you. If you can't come sit on this sofa and talk to me, at least let somebody else tell me. Right. Girl, literally, the very next day, I turn on YouTube, and I'm a huge fan of Bishop T.D. Jakes. Okay. And I haven't really been listening to his sermons lately. Like, I've just been, I'll listen to him, I'll go back to him, come back, you know what I'm saying? Because normally I would listen to him like every day. Yeah. And so I pulled it up, and the title of it was, I Have Permission. Wow. Girl, I said, wait a minute, Jesus. So I hit the play button. Girl, the first thing that man said was, God want me to tell you that you have permission.
Ain't that
Tanya,
something?
I could have fell out.
But God works like that. I often talk about how God will send his whispers.
Yes.
And sometimes, us in the flesh, we're like, God, do you hear me? Do you hear me? Where are you? We're going through. And then he sends these little subtle hints, these subtle clues, these subtle whispers to direct you exactly where you need to be. Yeah. He sends those confirmations that let you know that you're in the right space. And he doesn't stop there, because I'm sure even after that, there's been more things as added confirmation. Because I remember the story in the Bible, I think it was Gideon, who kept fleecing the Lord. It's like, Lord, is that what I'm supposed to do? Like, is that what I'm supposed to do?
Like, are you sure?
Are you sure? Are you sure that this is where I'm supposed to do and when I'm supposed to, go? And we are just like Gideon. We question, like, God, are you sure I'm supposed to pursue? Like, yeah, pursue.
Right.
Are you sure that I'm supposed to? He's like, send other confirmations. So I'm sure even after you got that he also sent you some other confirmation that you were in the right place.
So many. And it was funny. It was funny because right after I asked God that question, so, well, we'll talk about the book. But right after I asked God, and we'll come back to this, I said, God, I need to know. Like, I was asking for clarity. And he just simply, you are a writer. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. Is this me talking to me? You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, Lord, like, wait a minute. Is it you, Lord?
Yeah.
Just, I was like, okay, I need something else. I need a little bit something a little stronger.
A little stronger. I don't need a yes. You need a
yes. Right. I need, girl, don't you hear me? Like, I need a little stronger.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, so when that, girl, I literally, it was so funny because when Bishop Jake said it, I bust out laughing. Mm-hmm. And I said, I hear you loud and clear, God.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me listen to the rest of the sermon. And I literally, like, the whole sermon, I told Tracy, I said, I feel like this man was talking to me. I know he don't know me, but I just know he was talking to everything he said. Because going into this next really big project, like, I'm like, and I told God, I said, God, I know you're with me. Like, I know you're with me. I don't question that, but it's one of those things where it's like, how will others react to it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was my biggest fear. And then God was like, that ain't your business.
Yeah.
Like, it's none of your business how they react to it.
I think that's what catches us up sometimes, and I think that adds or contributes to some of the fear that we naturally have when we're pursuing something that we're led to do, whether it be something that we're passionate about, or even if it's part of our purpose, or just even the simple things that you might just like, what, I'm going to try this out because I feel it, like this might be a good blessing to the public.
Right.
You question it, but it's not so much that we question our abilities to get it done. It's more so, what are the people going to say?
Yes.
And wondering about what the people will say will get us in trouble every time.
Every time. We will literally quit. The more
absolutely.
we think about
absolutely.
it, we will, because that's what happened to me after I did When Love Lies the second time. I literally quit writing. I quit writing. And I told God, I'm not going to do this no more. Because I was so broken. And God was like, girl, what?
Yeah.
Like, how you going to tell me what you ain't going to do?
We're always trying to give God advice, right? Or suggestions, right? Never works. So don't try it out there. It's not going to work.
Don't do it. So, and God, it was so funny because God gave me a year. Like, all right,
go have your pity party for about a year.
Do what you need to do.
Come on back.
Right.
When you over yourself, like you might discipline your little kids, like, okay, go stand in the corner and go cry over there. You just take a time out.
Yep.
And then once your tears are dried up and you catch your breath,
yep.
It's like, okay, I'm ready to go back and do things right again. Let's try again.
Let's try
I'm ready
again.
to try to tackle the world again now. Life is good.
It really is, and it was so funny because that entire year, I never stopped thinking. It was like literally every day I woke up, I'm like, okay. It was literally like God would not even though I stopped, God wouldn't let me stop.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't writing. God was like, okay, you still got this project you need to do.
Yeah.
And you got this project you need to finish.
Yeah.
And I didn't give you these scripts for you just to sit there and not do anything with them. So every day I'm like, really, Lord? Like, come on, can I just take a break?
Yeah.
And 2019, I ended up we was actually supposed to film Timothy in 2019. And but we didn't, we couldn't find a mom. And I was like, okay, we're just going, because one thing about me, I believe in timing, and I don't believe in forcing things. And that's what happened when I did When Love Lies the second time. I forced it.
Yeah.
And I knew during the whole process it was not meant to be.
Right.
But I was like, everybody wants, it goes back to
what people want.
Yep. Everybody was like, everybody wants me to redo it, do it again, do it again.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm not going to say it was a disaster, because I learned a ton of lessons in it.
Yeah.
But what I realized was that the timing was not right.
Right.
And so with Timothy, it was like, okay, God, the timing has to be right. So we ended up filming the first 3 episodes for Toxic. I have yet to put it out.
Yeah.
I was, I ain't going to say it, because I just, some of the acting was just a little bit questionable. And I was like,
some of the actors were questionable. That happens in the industry. It's okay.
I was,
but again, when you're thinking about timing, proper production,
yes,
and producing a piece of work that God will be pleased with.
Yes.
We understand that, especially in this industry of filmmaking and plays and things like that, you're dealing with different people, different personalities, different motives. Again, your timing might not be their time, it might not be God's timing.
Yeah.
But one thing's for certain, when it fits, it's gonna fit, and it's gonna be just the way that it needs to be. So hey, it happens.
It happens.
But you're not gonna produce any junk.
No.
That's the key to it. So, despite the little hiccup that may have happened, when it's corrected and you get what you need, what God is leading you to do with it, it's gonna be a magnificent piece of work. I'm so sure of it.
Yes.
And since you brought it up, I wanna just go ahead and just kind of jump to that real quick. We have to talk about Timothy.
Yes.
Timothy has made its way around the globe.
Literally.
And has been award winning.
Yeah.
And that is just so phenomenal. I think I stopped counting at 45-ish, somewhere around there. So exactly how many awards has your short film Timothy won so far?
I don't even know. I'm like you. It's so funny because Tay was like, girl, I stopped counting at 40. I said, me too.
Yeah.
I really don't know where we are right now, because I posted with all our laurels, and that's still not all the laurels.
Yeah, wow.
I told Tay, I said, Tay, we got to do another poster because we ran out of room. But it's one of those things that goes back to what you were saying, timing and quality is everything.
Right.
Like, I'm not one of those people, and this is no shade to nobody, because I believe everybody should walk their lane the best way that they know how. What you in your lane, this is my lane. My lane is a lot different. Only because for me, I can't do a ton of projects.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For me, each project deserves its own nurturing. So it's like I may do a project once or twice a year, and I'm going to use those times when I'm not filming. I'm going to nurture it like it's a baby, and so with Timothy, that's what we did. I wrote it in 2019. We didn't film it until 2021. Last year, we filmed it last year. And for that entire, for 6-7 months, I literally just dedicated all of my time to, Timothy, finding the right film festivals, research, because there are millions of film festivals, so I literally, me and Tracy spent almost 2 months before Timothy had even finished just on researching film festivals. Like, what's the best film festivals that we can put it in? Where these film festivals are located, because there's a strategy to all of this.
Right.
And so we were just able to kind of figure out the strategy, because I know people who have put great films into probably 30, 40, 50 film festivals, and they didn't get none. And I'm sitting back like, how your film didn't win? But there's a strategy to it,
Okay.
And so we were able to just really, figure out the strategy, cultivate, the film, the marketing side of it. We were very strategic in what the poster was going to look like, the colors that we were going to use, the font that we were going to use, the angles for how Tay was going to stand. And, even with the rainbow, it's a very faint rainbow that's over the T that looks like a cross. It's just those small little elements where we were very, intentional about. And so we wanted to make sure that, we pulled all that together.
Great. That's amazing. I know that a lot goes into that. And I definitely want to know a little bit more about that. But we're going to take a short little break. And I definitely want to come back and pick that up and just ask him a few more questions about that process. And, being on a global award win. I can't say that enough unless we give credit where credit is due. Like I said, last time I counted, we were like around 45-ish as far as awards that have been won from that great feature. And again, a beautiful cast, beautiful story. And I guess, again, I want to come back and just after this break and kind of talk about that process as a filmmaker. So we'll just take this break and we'll be right back. Thank you for watching our show. I hope that you're enjoying yourself. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, spiritual leader, or organizational leader, and you're looking to be a guest on our show, please visit our website at www.ttalkwithtanya.com. And we're back. Again, we have our special guest on today, Miss Tymika Chambliss. We appreciate you again for coming on and sharing with us. Just want to jump right back into where we left off before our break, talking about that process of becoming a filmmaker and just how tedious, like you were talking about, it was a strategy to be able to enter into the different festivals. I know in this industry, we know a lot of filmmakers, a lot of people that want to get into this space, but may not really know the proper direction to get their films seen or get their films published. Can you talk about that process just a little bit?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, most people, in order to learn filming, you have to go to film school. But there's a quote, and I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was Martin Scorsese or if it was, I can't even think the other guy's name. But the guy said, I didn't go to film school, I went to films. And so for those of us that are unconventional filmmakers, I didn't go to school for filming. But what I did do was I took time to research before I even made the decision to go into filming. A lot of times, we get these bursts of ideas.
Right.
And we're like, let's do it, and we have no training, no knowledge, no understanding of the fundamentals of just the bare minimum of what to do. We think, I got a cell phone, I got a camera, and you stand over there and 3, 2, 1, go.
Right.
But it's for me, because my purpose is aligned with filmmaking, I take it so serious. So I can't waste my time in it.
Right.
I can't waste my energy and my resources and different things like that. So I literally, took, let me see, we filmed Toxic 2019. So that whole year that I told you I took off from the Lord, that was my time where I literally just kind of like really got into, watching movies. And, so Toxic was my first introduction into filmmaking. Now we filmed, we did like the trailers for When Love Lies and stuff like that, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun, but it wasn't a film,
Right.
And so going into that piece of it, I was like, I need to know what I'm doing, at least have the bare minimum of knowledge so that I don't make a fool out of myself, And so I just really took that time and just really started researching, looking at movies, checking out angles. Okay, I'll see one angle. I'm like, okay, let me YouTube and see, okay, how did they get this done? Black Panther had just come out. And one of my favorite scenes is when they are in, they're in like this lounge. And if you pay attention, I can't even think her name, the bodyguard lady, she has on like this red dress, and then Nakia has on this green dress, and then T'Challa has on black. And so when I went back and looked at behind the scenes, and they were talking about they used that because that's the African American flag. It's
Right.
red, black, and green.
Yeah.
You know, so that was it. And then they have this scene where the camera literally pans up from the ground up. Okoye, that's her name, to show her, you know, in battle. And then when she jumps over the balcony, the camera comes back down. I was like, I need to know how they did that.
Yeah.
You know, and so I researched and I understood, you know, the camera on the wire, and, you know, then I was watching another movie and it was just this long pan from literally from one side of the city all the way over to this little window. And I was like, I need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was just those different things. I took the time. Like I said, I wrote Toxic in 2014. I didn't film it till 2019. And again, it's all in timing, but also not just in timing, but it's in preparation. Because timing and preparation produces quality.
Right.
A lot of times we wake up, ooh, I got an idea. We're going to film tomorrow. Like, hey, boo-boo, I need you to be at the set. We're going to film tomorrow at the gas station for 10 minutes. Be there at 12 o'clock.
Right.
And then you wonder why boo-boo look like a fool on camera. And you want folks to, you know what I'm saying? You want folks to pay you $30 to see your film. It's like, baby.
Yeah, just a little bit more time,
You
effort,
know,
and research to make it.
Cultivate.
Yeah, I like that.
Cultivate.
Cultivate your gift.
Yes, your gift.
I think that goes for anything, you know,
Yes.
not just in filmmaking or even plays. I would say that would be a fair,
Life.
you know, thing to do in just life in general.
Yes.
If you're called to do a certain thing, you want to give it your absolute best, so that it won't be no mess, right?
Exactly.
And I like that you said to cultivate your gift. It's just going back to the example that I used earlier about having that seed of purpose in you. You know, a seed is just a seed until you cultivate it, right? So you cultivate, you take that time, you first of all, you put it in the soil, you cover it, you water it.
Come
the
on.
sun gotta come and shine
Yes. You gotta prune it.
Yes.
You know?
And even as it starts to spring up, you gotta watch it. It takes time. You gotta be patient.
Patience
in the process.
Yeah.
Give it time to grow and to bloom and do what it's gonna do. And even a couple of seasons, I'm not really sure if all trees go through this process, but you know, because all trees are not created equal. They do different things and produce different fruits. So, but I could just imagine that, you know, as they spring up from the ground, especially big, larger trees, it takes time to build those trunks. It takes time to build those branches. It takes time for the leaves to develop. And then once it does all that, it has another season where all that begins to die, or it has to be pruned. But again, you still have to cultivate it to keep the life inside of it. And I'm saying that and encouraging you all out there on today that no matter what it is that you're called to do, you want to take that time to cultivate the gift that God has given you, because that is what's going to make the difference between whether your tree of life and gifting is going to be something great and fruitful that people will see and want to run to it and eat thereof, or it's gonna wither away. It's gonna wither away and die, or not even come out or grow.
Right.
You know, because sometimes, just like I love in the Bible the story of the sower. I love that's one of my favorite parables in the Bible. You know, but it's so true, because we ain't gonna go into all that today. But you know, just in thinking about the cultivation process, you know, if you don't take the time to cultivate your gift, it's almost just like casting those seeds on thorny grounds or stony ground or whatever, and it's not going to be planted right in order for it to get the nourishment and the care that it's going to need for it to grow into what it's supposed to be, again, so that others can run, see it, and want to be a part of it or partake from it. So I love the fact that you mentioned that cultivation process, and we see that God is truly cultivating your life. That little shy 10-year-old girl that was mad at her friends, and writing nasty poems like, Becky was bad Becky, or whatever you wrote. I don't know, but you know, it sounds like that might be something cute to do at 10. I don't know, but you know, again, here you are now. You are a filmmaker. You are a playwright. You are an author. amongst many other titles that you hold. And I would like to just talk about that because we kind of talked about your plays a little bit, and we also have talked about your films just a little bit. But there's something that's very passionate to me and to you, I'm sure, and I would be remiss if we didn't talk about it on the show today. Because again, just like I started the show today, you know, one of the pillars for this brand, Tea Talk with Tanya, we stand on the principle of health.
Yes.
And, you know, we all, you know, go through many different things in life. You know, we work and da-da-da-da-da. And sometimes it's so easy to get consumed with the cares of this life that we don't really take care of ourselves. Or sometimes it's easy to overlook when our bodies are telling you, hey, slow down, or hey, I'm not right today, I'm not well, or this piece is not working the way that it should be. And I know that you have a remarkable survivor story, which has also been added into your creativity. And I want to be able to talk about that a little bit. I know that you already mentioned one of your projects, which was Pink Hope here. Tymika's a superhero, by the way. She's always a superhero in my book. But I want to talk about your health journey just a little bit, and also what led to this book project that we have here. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So, you know, as we talked about filming Toxic, we filmed Toxic for 2 weeks, and so the week after we finished filming, I went in for a biopsy.
Was this a regular checkup, just normal standard procedures? So ladies, go for your standard procedures. That's always good or men, not to leave you guys out, but go get yourself checked out like you're supposed to. That's the moral of that story.
Right. So actually, October of that year, I went for a mammogram, and I didn't hear anything back. I was like, cool, everything is great. You know, I'm filming, everything is wonderful. The beginning of December, the week before we started filming Toxic, I got a call while I was at work. And the nurse said, is this Miss Chambliss? I said, yes, it is. She said, we've been trying to reach you for 2 months.
2 months?
She said, we didn't have your phone number, and we finally found your work number in our files, but we found something on your mammogram.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. I said, all right. They said, so we want to bring you in for a biopsy. So the Thursday after we finished filming Toxic on that Sunday, then that Thursday after, I went in for a biopsy, and they sent me home. That was horrible. It was just a terrible experience. And sent me home. And so Christmas was the next week. The day after Christmas, they called me. I was at work, and my doctor called me. And she asked me 3 questions. She said, are you sitting down? Are you alone? And can you talk?
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I got that thing. You know, I knew immediately. I'm like, Lord, you caught me, Jesus. You got me, Lord. And it took me, when she told me, she was like, you know, you're diagnosed with stage 1, it's DCIS, ductal carcinoma in situ. It's a type of breast cancer that is in your milk ducts. But the type of cancer that they diagnosed me with was fueled, not necessarily fueled, but it, I guess that would be the right word for it, but it was fueled by estrogen. And so they were, you know, pretty much, and this happened day after Christmas. The very next month, January, that's when COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
So I was scheduled to have a lumpectomy in April of that year. April came around. They was like, you know, we're going to push it back to June. So between April and June, you know, God was just really, you know, I went through a very bad depression. Like I was depressed. It was bad. It was bad because I didn't understand. I'm like, okay, God, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing all of this. I'm eating right. You know what I'm saying? Like, how in the world, you know, me? You know what I'm saying? So I went through really bad depression. And I made the decision, though, to go ahead on and do a mastectomy. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, you know, I really feel like I just need to do a mastectomy, get it out the way, talk to Tracy, and everybody was very supportive. Thank God I did do it, because when they examined it, they found out it was a whole nother spot on the other side that they hadn't even looked at, and so I would end up having to have it anyway.
Right.
And so I had a mastectomy on June 3rd, 2020, and I came home the next day. I was able to go home, and so it was rough. It was just my recovery was very difficult, but it was interesting because 2 days after I made it home, I woke up. And this term, pink hope, like literally just like I woke up and it was pink hope. And I told Trace, I was like, this phrase came to me, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. He was like, what is it? I said, it's pink hope. And I was like, well, I'm just going to pray about it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. A week to that day, I was asleep. And while I was in it, I was half sleep and half not sleep. And I saw literally like this movie flash before my face. And I saw the scenes, and it was so fast. It was like I wasn't able to catch up with it. And I woke up. I looked at Trace. I said, "Pass me my laptop." He gave me my laptop, and I just started typing. And 2 hours later, I wrote "Pink Hope" and the Hope Leaders.
This wonderful book
That
here.
book,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And Pink Hope is pretty much this breast cancer superhero. The little boy, because at the time my children didn't know what was going on. My baby was 2. Lila was 9. No, Kyla was 2. Lila was 10. Trevi was 12. I didn't know how to tell them, Mommy has breast cancer.
Right.
And so when I wrote the book, I was like, I sent it to my sister because my kids were staying with her. And I said, hey, let Lala read this. I said, I need you to read it. Let Lala read it. So that was my way of explaining to them, what I was dealing with. But in the book, it's a little boy named Devin, and he finds out that his mom has breast cancer. And Pink Hope takes him on this magical journey and shares with him what breast cancer is. And so we show the cells, and we show radiation, and her superpower is radiation. And so the whole part of it is for him to become a hope leader for his mom. And so hope is helping other people every day.
I like that.
Yep. And so
say that again for the people in the back.
Helping other people every day. That's what hope is. And so he learns that he can help his mom on her journey by just being her hope leader or her big helper. And so going through all of that, oh God, I'm trying not to cry.
That's okay. We have tissue.
We do have tissue. Going through all of that, when God gave that to me, I was like, it helped. It was for me in that moment, because I didn't know, no one wakes up and says, hey, I think today is a great day to have cancer.
Right.
No one wakes up with that.
Yeah.
And when I went through my journey, and I'm still on the journey, I'm still going through treatments and all that stuff.
Right.
But it helped me to understand that, what? It doesn't matter what a person is dealing with. Every person deserves hope.
Yes, absolutely.
And hope is the thing that takes us from, feeling, like we don't matter, or feeling insecure, because, I mean, literally, like, they had to take my boob. You know what I'm saying? As women, that's a part of our womanhood.
Right.
And it's like, you want to take that too? You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, Yeah. But going through it, I realized that, now I'm able to be other people's hope leader. Regardless if they're going through breast cancer, if they're going through colon cancer, if they're going through losing a job, if they're losing a parent or a child, I understand that at any given point, all of us can be in need of hope. And we have to be intentional about being each other's hope leader. And so that's Pink Hope.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely do love this book. I do have my own copy.
Yes.
And, surprisingly enough, I mean, I knew just by the title, I assume, and obviously the pink ribbons
Yeah.
on the background. See, all those little details matter. It tells you a story before you even get to the story.
Yes.
But I realized that it was a story about breast cancer awareness. And I remember when I received the book, I was my daughter, my little shadow. She's always with me, and I read the book, and of course, because this is a kid friendly book, and she's like reading it with me, and by the time we got to the end, we both were kind of emotional,
Yeah.
because obviously it's a story, but the message was so profound and so deep, like it's all inclusive,
Yeah.
just like you mentioned. And I remember thinking to myself, and I kind of got emotional, because it's like how many times do our children have to see us go through things, just like you mentioned, and we don't always know how to articulate those things to them. Now I'm getting emotional because I'm thinking about my own journey, even though my journey wasn't I told you we was gonna need these, girl. Even though my journey wasn't a health journey, but I had a journey that was difficult for me to share with my children at one point in my life. And reading this book, it did exactly what it was set out to do, and it was to show that children, we still, regardless of how hard it is to have those conversations, we have to have them.
Yep.
And not only do we have to have them, because regardless of what the situation may be, they're affected by it.
Yes.
And because they are going to be affected by it, they have to participate in the process.
Yes.
So regardless of if it's a parent or a loved one going through illness with their health, those children are affected by that, and they have to kind of step in at times, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And regardless, if your situation was similar to what mine was, where you're dealing with family issues or, mental health issues, you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
You have to come and say, hey, we need you to participate in this process so that we can all heal together and continue to move forward and still be healthy and productive and still live life as it's intended to be. And I love the fact that these children in this story, they get to be the heroes.
Yes.
It's like, mommy, I want to help. What can I do to help? How can I help others that are out there? So again, it's a Bible lesson. Not only say, I help that person in need in my household, but now we can still take that badge of honor and provide hope for others. Because I think at the end, if I recall correctly, they were in a classroom. So now they're, sharing the hope to their classmates or to their teacher or to, just with other people. And, that's what spreading hope and love and compassion is truly all about. It's just not for us individually or just our little private sector. You just never know what type of help someone may need. And just like, let's say us as friends, you might be going through a health issue, I might be going through a mental health issue, somebody else might be going through something else, but as we build that sense of community and become hope heroes like these people here in this lovely book, we can be a bond and a help for one another. And that's what I believe, helps strengthen us as a community to be able to share that love, because so many of our families have been touched with cancer, and unfortunately, in this situation with you, this was right when COVID, in the midst of COVID onset. So not only were you dealing with a big situation, most will call it the big C, that thing,
I was dealing with two big C's.
COVID and cancer, right? So, it was, so just in general sense, our communities, our families, we're dealing with health issues on a whole nother level.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why, I love what we do here at the show, to be able to express those things and again talk about how we can be a help one to another. You just never know where a person might be in their journey, and just how just being a hero, a little hope hero, may make all the difference.
Yeah, and it does. It's, and that's, I think that, I think that, you know, it's, and that's, I think that, you know, it does. You know, it's, and that's, I think that, you know, it does. You know, it's, and that's, I think that, you know, it's, and that's, I think that, you know, it does. You know, it's, and that's, I think that, 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 you know, it's, and that's, I think when we go through things and when God allows us to go through things, you know, because for me, I know why it was necessary for me to go through that. At the time I didn't, you know, and now it's like I can look at it like, okay, yeah, I get it, because in order for me, God understood where I was gonna be.
Yeah.
And in order for me to be able to show hope, love, grace, mercy to others, I had to be in need of it. And so God had to place me in that situation where now I'm able to, I can do things, you know, and it's not, oh, I'm doing this for me. This is all about me. You know, look at me. Now it's like, no, how can I help you? And I genuinely mean it.
Yeah.
You know, what can I do for you? Do you need anything? How can I, you know, come in and embrace you? What is it? What can I do? How can I be your hope leader? Yeah. And I can genuinely say it without having ulterior motives or without wanting an applause. You know what I'm saying? And different things like that. Because a lot of times we do things because we want other people to see us do it.
Right.
And it's like, for me, it's like, no, because I know who was gracious and showed me mercy, you know, while I was down and while I was going through my situations, and nobody was in my face with a camera like, okay, now tell the world what I did for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, for me now, I'm like, okay, God, I get it. I get it. So in order for me to be able to get to where I'm trying to go, I had to be able to develop those people skills and those skills of love and those skills of authenticity in order for me to literally be able to be other people's hope leader. You know, just making sure that, you know, every day, like, I'm like, okay, if I see somebody going through something, it's like, okay, God, how can I help them? I may not have the financial resources, but maybe I can give them a kind word. Maybe I can offer some type of, you know, emotional support or something like that. Because being a hope leader, it extends beyond just the big C. You know, like you said, it's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
You know, and I think when we develop the mindset of getting out of this selfishness and, like you said, building community, and just developing a community mindset, then we can definitely be everybody's and each other's hope leaders.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we definitely need that.
Yes.
I want to kind of fast forward to the second part of your beautiful writings here, kind of coupled with our hope hero. You also have this amazing journal, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so this is just a journal. It's Best Life, Breast Life. And it's just a survival's journal. Literally, it's just pages you can go in and utilize it to take notes, write, and just different things like that. You can find this on Amazon. If you go in the search box, you can just put my name in, Tymika Chambliss, or Best Life, Breast Life, and it'll pull up. I think it's like $7. It's very inexpensive. But pretty much what I'm doing is the money that when people purchase this, the money that I raise from it, I'm going to be putting a portion of it into Sisters Network, which is a breast cancer community for women in Memphis.
Awesome. And if they want to get this,
and this book, Pink Hope, is actually on my website. The website is www.hoperulestheworld.com. www.hoperulestheworld.com. And if you have any questions, you can email me, Tymika@hoperulestheworld.com. So you can purchase the book there.
And spell your name for the audience, because you know there's tons of ways to spell Tymika, and you're Tymika with a Y.
Right.
So spell it for them so they can make sure that they email the right Tymika.
So it's Tymika, Tymika @hoperulestheworld.com.
Awesome. And we know that you are doing a phenomenal work for the communities that you serve, whether it be in film, whether it be in your writings, or even your stage plays, or any other future project that you may have. We definitely want to support your efforts and just be able to reach out to you. So again, you've given us your email, and you've given us a place to purchase your books and your website, and you know, we look forward to seeing what God is going to continue to do with your life. But before we get ready to close out on today, you know, I want to go back to something that you said earlier, going back to that 10-year-old Tymika. If you had any words of wisdom or any advice for that little girl who was just in pieces, that 16-year-old Tymika that was going through so much in her life at that time. Knowing what you know now, talk to our audience as if you were speaking to that young Tymika. What would you say? Because somebody out there right now, even though they may be adults, may still be struggling with, trying to overcome that little person within them that's still hurt, that's still shattered, that's still torn, that's still broken. What advice would you give to them on today, or what would you say to young Tymika?
I would say, baby, you have permission. Don't stop. You do not need validation because God has already validated you.
Awesome. Words
and now I'm almost crying.
That's okay. We have more
we got more tissues.
It's certainly okay.
Tanya, but can I say one thing though?
Absolutely.
Because I know before we do close out, I mentioned something earlier, and I definitely don't want to end without addressing it. I mentioned about a program or project that I'll be releasing soon, and so do you mind if I share it? Okay. My media company, Vibranium Media Group, www.v as in Victor, B as in boy, R as in Rhino, mediagroup.com. We are going to be launching a project for new playwrights. It's called From Page to Stage, and we will be looking for new playwrights in Memphis, Tennessee, people that are interested in becoming playwrights, and we're going to cultivate their writing, and not only cultivate it, but we're going to teach them the fundamentals of theater. We're going to teach them the fundamentals of writing, and we're going to produce their projects. So if you are interested, go to the website and you can sign up today.
Again, tell us that website. I need to write that down.
Yes.
And put my bid in early.
Yes,
as things are developing, cultivating my life.
Yes.
And to do more things for the community here at Tea Talk with Tanya. So give us the website one more time.
So it's Vibranium Media Group, and the website is www.v as in Victor, B as in boy, R as in Rhino, mediagroup.com.
Awesome. And you have some wonderful series coming out. We didn't have time to talk about it as much today, but we're definitely going to have you back to talk about that. But real quickly, you do have a series coming out through the channel. Real briefly, you want to
Sure.
share that?
So Ruined Twice Blind is the first installment in our Ruined series. And so we're actually going to be having our movie premiere. It's an extended short because it's not necessarily short, but it's not necessarily long, but it's extended short. So we will be having our movie premiere coming up very soon. So again, if you're unable to attend but you would like to see it, just inbox me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, LinkedIn as well, and I'll be able to send the link over to you.
Awesome.
And Tanya's in it.
I am. I have a nice little cameo appearance.
Yes. I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Hope you can't wait either. Check us out, okay? You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Ms. Chambliss, we thank you so much. It's always an honor being in your presence. I love you so much. And I thank you for sharing with our audience on today. That is our time, ladies and gentlemen. And as we close out on today, just remember, hey, look, it doesn't matter where you go or where you'll be. Just don't forget your tea. That's total empowerment and anointing. God bless. Thank you for watching our show, Tea Talk with Tanya. We hope you enjoyed it on today. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our social media platforms or visit us on our website at www.teatalkwithtanya.com.